Now, we heard you over the weekend express your hopes that Saturday would be enough and that maybe demonstrators would decide to leave, but they haven't. We're now hearing, as you know, promises that they will stay until all COVID mandates and measures are dropped. So how does that make you feel hearing this on a Monday morning?
Well, we're actually seeing some of the trucks starting to move out and go back, I assume, back to work and back to their hometowns. And that's the message I've been consistent in giving, Michael. It's, you've had your protests, you've had your rallies, you've been honking your horns for 48 hours plus. It's time to move on and let our city regroup. We're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with challenges with temperature and snow. And the last thing we need is for this thing to linger on. And quite frankly, I think they're losing a lot of public support when they have members of their gang that go out and urinate on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where Corporal Cirillo was killed several years ago, guarding the tomb and the cenotaph. When they go to a soup kitchen, Shepherds of Good Hope, and demand free meals taken away from the homeless. And when they drape, an upside-down Canadian flag on Terry Fox's statue, the public are saying, you know what, you've lost the room, as they say. One of our columnists in the Ottawa Citizen, Kelly Egan, wrote that just earlier today. So, my message is, look, people live in the downtown. They're sick and tired of the diesel fumes and the honking of the horn. Their kids can't get to sleep. They feel fearful. And the same with our business community. Today, as you know, Michael, is the first day restaurants can open up again at 50% capacity, and cinemas and so on. And many of the small businesses in the downtown are afraid to open up. That shouldn't be the case in a civil society like ours.
Well, I'm going to ask you to draw perhaps more of a picture here, because as you say, we've heard about these incidents, for example, at the soup kitchen, at the National War Memorial, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, not to mention the Terry Fox statue. But this is also a vibrant downtown core where thousands of people live. What has it been like for them living through this demonstration? What are they expressing fears about right now?
Well, a couple of things. We've had a number of occasions where people have been intimidated and yelled at for wearing a mask outside, which is the right thing to do. It just is illogical. Their theme of coming here to fight for freedom. You're fighting against some of the rare tools we have to fight COVID-19: wearing a mask, social distancing, getting double vaccinated, and then the booster shot. And people, I think you used to live in Centertown, if I'm not mistaken, Michael. People live in the downtown. It's not just a bunch of government buildings. They live there. They go to schools there. We had to close one of the schools for fear of safety. Same with the daycare center. And the organizers have not once condoned anti-Semitism with the Nazi symbol or Confederate flags. They should be ashamed of themselves. And at the end of the day, they're not getting any public support. It's dwindling, quite frankly. So I think it's time for them to move on. And some of them have got the message. Some have started to clear out. But the rest of them should be on their way and go back to their hometowns, talk to their local MPs. This is a federal issue of a mandate, and allow our city to regroup and start to open up again for the residents and for the tourists and the visitors and the people that work here in the nation's capital. The Byward Market has been impacted, Centertown, the broader downtown core, and I think it's time for them to move on, because they're losing credibility by the hour.
Mm-hmm. And you're right, I did Somerset and Elgin, to be exact. Listen, you mentioned the businesses in the capital city, and I'm wondering, what has this protest meant for the local economy and people just trying to make a living and trying to get around right now?
Well, as you know, even before this protest started on the weekend, a number of our businesses were suffering because of the lockdown. You think of the restaurant industry, gyms, movie theaters, and so on. And so they're already up against the wall. And the last thing they needed was, for instance, the Rideau Center, which is our largest downtown shopping center, is closed now for the third day. Just think of the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that are being lost, the number of jobs that are affected. You're working minimum wage at a fast food restaurant, in the food court, and you're not able to get paid because the protesters decided that they were going to use mob mentality, go in without masks, yelling and screaming like a bunch of banshees, and putting fear in the lives of these people who are trying to make a decent living, working in retail, working in restaurants. So I think what the message is. Can you imagine going and if it was your daughter working at the McDonald's or the Harveys, and some big brute came in and refused to wear a mask? What awkward position, untenable position, does that young woman face? these people should think about their actions, because they're doing a disservice to the trucking industry, which is vital. The vast majority of people in the trucking industry are decent people, but these yahoos are ruining their reputation and hurting not only our neighborhoods, but our local economy as well.
Now, as you said, some people have started to leave on their own, but going forward, is there anything you'd like to see done specifically? Is there a role here for police or the federal government?
Well, we've had great cooperation with the federal government. Our Ottawa Police Services are obviously working with the RCMP and the Parliamentary Protective Service and the OPP and others who have come in, and we appreciate their efforts. At the end of the day, as you know, Michael, politicians are not allowed by law to direct operational matters of any police service. So I can't tell the police to go in and start towing these cars away. But there's no question that the chief monitors the situation literally on an hourly basis, gets reports, and he will make the appropriate decision at the appropriate time as to what will happen with the remaining trucks. So, I have great confidence in Chief Slowly. He's got 30 years plus experience. Our city, as you know, is used to protests because we're the nation's capital. But this kind of boorish behavior that we've seen, and even attacking journalists, journalists are feeling threatened trying to do their stand-ups on Wellington Street and on Elgin Street. It's just not acceptable. And I think the organizers should, quite frankly, apologize and move on. And this is costing us as taxpayers in Ottawa $800,000 a year just in police, or $800,000 a day. I wish it was just a year of police costs. Plus, they're leaving garbage strewn all over the place. It's going to take days to clean up the mess that they've created. And, this should not be the cost of burden on the taxpayers of Ottawa.